So those three pillars, those 3-in-1 tools, like when you learn how to do that properly, like it doesn't matter. Like you're not even thinking about if the algorithm is getting changed, if Airbnb is doing this or Airbnb is doing that. Like you're not thinking about that because now the money's just flowing. It's flowing from all different, but it's all tied into the same thing. So the difference between this, multiple streams of income where people have you doing this and somebody's trying to get you to do that and telling you should be doing all these things, you get like you're spread thin and not doing anything really well. Now it's all focused on the thing that you have a passion for, a thing that you're doing every day, and now you're making the most of your time. As we talked about the generating the cash flow, when we talked about the three pillars of family, financial freedom, 3 pillars of wealth, one of the things we talk about is cash flow is key. So being able to have that cash flow coming in on a regular basis, like right now, and so that's one. The second is the continuity. So when I say cash flow coming in, so cash flow, continuity, and then the third thing, as I said, I like to say kids or leverage, right? And so the cash flow is something where what we want is not just some cash flow coming in. Like our goal is to increase our cash flow as much as possible. And Airbnb, as you know, is a thing that is a tool that can have you generating cash flow relatively quickly. But one thing we also recognize with Airbnb is that, like, if you get comfortable with Airbnb, 1 month you could have a great month, and then the next month, like you could be barely making rent, or you're not making a whole lot of profit. Most people will if they're not optimized properly, most people aren't optimized properly. So with all the algorithm changes that Airbnb's had, most people that are doing Airbnb are struggling. Like that's something that we don't necessarily have to contend with because we understand advanced optimization. But then the other thing is when you understand advanced optimization and you're not struggling, then what you also have the ability to do is you have the ability to scale your Airbnbs fast with the process that we use, with whether it be using our template, doing it yourself, or doing alliances and doing that properly. And you can scale. When you scale with alliances, it's pretty cool because depending on who you're doing the alliances with, you may or may not really be required to come up with a whole lot of money, or you may have the money and someone else has the know-how, and then you guys just team up on those particular listings, and you can do it from all over different parts of the country without you really having to do a whole lot of anything. The way we do, like what I call alliances, but really it's either alliances or collaborations. So with more collaborations, when you do that properly, like one of the things we just got finished doing with Myron, with one of our high level associates and colleagues, like we flew out and did a collaboration with him. We flew out and set up his whole Airbnb system for him. Like we flew out, my team flew out, and then literally, like he had just put $100,000 into this property. So we actually did two of their family properties. One, both of them they've owned for years, and they both, in both of those places, he just finished the remodel where they put $100,000 into that property. The other one, he put roughly about that much in over the last few years. So his brother, and that both places were beautiful, but literally in 3 days, those places are now fully operational. One didn't even have furniture in it from the start. The other one had furniture, but they didn't have the systems in place with doors and just a lot of updates that they didn't, like he was about to spend like another $15,000-$20,000 on furniture and stuff. He's gonna throw stuff out. We're like, no, Like this train has been moving. We've made millions of dollars. You've made millions of dollars doing this stuff. Over the years, I've made millions of dollars doing this stuff. My students are making millions of dollars doing this stuff. And we only lease from landlords that just, they don't care. Like we tell them what we're doing. They just don't care to learn it. They just want to keep it easy. This is what I'm used to doing. Let me just lease to you. And they're missing like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not doing anything significantly different, just changing it a little bit. Not doing anything more, actually doing less, just changing how they're doing it. So if you're a landlord, then get in on this boat. Now, so that's one. So cash flow. But the other way, continuity, is when you do this properly, the other thing we do is it's about, like Tony, in your case, now, like you've been doing Airbnb down in Florida, like you're killing the game out there down in Fort Lauderdale, like you've been having some ups and downs with your algorithm. And now as a mastermind student, what are you doing? Like you're learning how to do collaboration so that you have multiple streams of income coming in, and your collaborations will also boost your ability to affect the algorithm. So it doesn't matter if Airbnb is slow 1 month or it's up another month. It doesn't matter. Like I don't look at that. It doesn't even matter to me because we got cash flow coming in because of the collaborations that we have with our coaching model, where we basically take what we've done. Like you are technically an Airbnb expert. Why? How many listings do you have?
13.
13 listings. You've been doing this for what, 2 years or a year? A year now. I think it's been a little bit
almost 2 years.
Almost
yeah,
2
year
years.
and a
So
half.
13 listings. You don't own any of those places, right? You got 13 listings. You don't own any of them, right? Now your ability to scale, like your ability to scale, in like you have that ability, but now like the revenue from the coaching side of things and the collaborations, like right now, just the collaboration you and I are doing because you're one of our mastermind students, like you're gonna be making an extra $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month just with the collaboration that we just started with the challenge. And now, instead of you making, $15,000, $20,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month with Airbnb and the other platforms, now you're making an extra $50,000, $75,000 a month. And when you really get good at it and you start to scale with more collaborations with that, now you're moving into the next step. You're using that $75,000 a month, and then you move into the next phase, right? The next pillar, which is the third pillar, is kids, I said, right? So what is kids? Kids is your own kids. If you got kids, showing them how to do it. Because if they know how to do it, then what? If they know how to have financial independence and freedom, if they know how to use the platforms properly, they'll never have to punch a clock again. They'll never have to reach their hand out and say, Mom, Dad. They'll never have to, depend on anyone for their own financial independence and freedom. Like by the grace of God, all my kids are financially independent. They all have their own portfolios doing the same thing that I've taught you, right? And the beauty of that is even greater than just them, because my grandkids have never had to see their parents working for anyone ever. And so now they've already broken that generational cycle. They're building legacy where their kids now understand what it's like to have financial independence and freedom. They're being raised from the beginning with that mindset. And now also the freedom that they have with their time, they're able to take those gifts and those passions that God's blessed them with and really utilize those things to truly make their mark on the world, to serve at their highest level the way they're called to serve at their highest level the way they're called to, in a way that honors him, right? So that's one kids, but here's the other kids. So there's two levels to that kids when you talk about leverage. So when you leverage that, that's one less thing you have to think about, because now you got that part handled. And now when you're leaving money behind when it's time for us to check out eventually, say bye and go home, right? Spend our time for eternity with him. Now, like all the money that we are leaving behind, we're not leaving it behind to people that don't know what to do with it. Right. So that's one part of the legacy. That's one part of the leverage for kids. But here's the other part of the kids' leverage. Our money that we just generated, that we're generating from Airbnb, that we learned how to use more platforms and then scale that from going from just 10, 15, 20 a month to 50, 75,000 a month. And then now that money making more money, having babies, so that money can work more and more and more for us, that allows us to continue to do more of what's working. Right. And so those three pillars, those 3-in-1 tools, like when you learn how to do that properly, like it doesn't matter. Like you're not even thinking about if the algorithm is getting changed, if Airbnb is doing this or Airbnb is doing that. Like you're not thinking about that because now the money's just flowing. It's flowing from all different, but it's all tied into the same thing. So the difference between this, multiple streams of income where people have you doing this to somebody's trying to get you to do that and telling you should be doing all these things, you get like you're spread thin and not doing anything really well. Now it's all focused on the thing that you have a passion for, a thing that you're doing every day, and now you're making the most of your time. So in our challenge, that's what we get, like, that's what we really get more into depth about, how to make that change. And then like for you, Tony, like, that and you understand it, you've gotten family members, right? But now as you're going to that next level, creating your own, because you're an expert, right? Have you ever considered yourself an Airbnb expert? Have you ever, before I just said that, have you ever?
Not an expert, but I knew some things, which I knew was helpful.
You know some things, right? But think about it. Out of the average people that like right there where you're at right now, how many of those people know half of what you know? Where you're at right now?
Right, none of them.
Right. What do you think? Let me ask you this. Like when you first got enrolled in the academy almost 2 years ago, if you would have known those 3 pillars, because like I didn't give everybody those 3 pillars in the beginning. Our main focus was let me just help you get your Airbnb started like in 48 hours. Like, but if you knew those 3 pillars way ahead of time, where do you think you'd be right now?
Probably a lot farther, but it depends, because sometimes people get scared of that.
Yeah,
having the mindset, but you know what I mean. So,
well, I'm talking about
if I do it.
Yeah, if you do it.
If I do it, it's just, you know what I mean. Like I said, I would have probably done it sooner.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be. Do you think you'd be making at least?
Just making that decision.
Do you think you'd be making at least double what you're making right now?
10xing more than what I was doing.
Yeah, I'm glad you know better. Yeah, you definitely would be 10xing by now. But you know what? One thing you said is so key. Like you said it. And if there's anybody listening, like, and Tony knows, my mastermind students know, my kids know, and most of my students know, but some of them don't know at the same level, because like it's another level when you start talking about making, 6 and 7 figures a month. And the one thing he talked about, most people think, oh, you need a lot more money to do that, or you need a lot more time to do that. And the answer to that is no, not necessarily. But the big thing that you need is a mindset to do it. And he said everybody's not ready mentally. Everybody just ain't ready for that, because it is a different world. But if you're listening and you're one of those action takers, like if you're listening and you're one of those people who God's placed that desire in your heart to be able to be the one that is leading your family into the financial promised land, the family financial freedom, so that you're creating generational wealth, that if you were to stop today, or when you decide whatever that thing is you're doing and you stop, you know that your kids and your kids' kids are taken care of, not just today or tomorrow, but well into the future when you say bye-bye. Right? If you're one of those, then you definitely need to be on that challenge. If you're one of those. And we're gonna spend that 4 days together, or how many days that I spend live with the people that join us on the challenge, and we get into that, because that's what it's about. Like you have the same heart after myself and everyone else that's part of the academy, where like that vision God's given us is much bigger than just us. And failure is not an option. And if you got that CEO mindset, like that if you're that take action person, then join us. And I guarantee you, these are my words, your life will be changed.